For decades, the world saw Hulk Hogan as the ultimate American hero. He was a larger-than-life icon, living in a massive mansion with a fleet of exotic cars. We all watched the fairy tale on Hogan Knows Best. But behind the 24-inch pythons and the roar of the crowd was a story of unbelievable spending, private struggles, and financial turmoil that was even wilder than his matches in the ring. So, what was Hulk Hogan's luxurious life really like? Let's get into the true story, from the arena chants of the 80s to our reality TV screens in the 2000s. Hulk Hogan wasn't just a wrestler, he was a global phenomenon, a symbol of American strength, a superhero in red and yellow who told kids to say their prayers and eat their vitamins. This squeaky clean image was matched only by the jaw-dropping scale of his wealth. We're talking about a man who admitted to burning through hundreds of millions of dollars at his peak. But what happens when the cameras turn off and the man, Terry Bollea, is left alone in the palace that Hulkamania built? The reality was a dizzying mix of unbelievable opulence, devastating financial hits, and a relentless fight to stay on top, not in the wrestling ring, but in the game of life itself. Before the mansions and speedboats, there was Terry Bollea, a kid from Augusta, Georgia. Born in 1953, he was a bass player dreaming of rock stardom, but fate had a much bigger stage in mind. When he stepped into the world of professional wrestling, something just clicked. Standing at a colossal 6'7", he was an intimidating presence. But it was his charisma, that magnetic energy, that would make him a legend. In the early 1980s, Vince McMahon Jr. was turning the World Wrestling Federation into a global powerhouse, and he needed a superhero to lead the charge. He found him in Hulk Hogan. The birth of Hulkamania wasn't just a marketing campaign. It was a cultural explosion. Hogan became the face of a generation, his red and yellow gear an instantly recognizable symbol across the planet. He wasn't just a wrestler, he was a brand. He headlined the very first WrestleMania in 1985, an event that changed sports entertainment forever. With this fame came an avalanche of money. Hogan wasn't just earning a wrestler's salary, he was making millions from merchandise, movie roles, and endorsements for everything from cereal to vitamins. He was one of the highest-paid wrestlers of his era, and arguably the most famous athlete in the world. The cash flowed in faster than anyone could have imagined, and it funded a lifestyle so extravagant, it was almost surreal. The kid from Augusta was gone. In his place stood a king ready to build his kingdom. And brother, it was going to be a big one. At the height of his fame, Hulk Hogan didn't just live in luxury, he was the embodiment of it. His spending was as legendary as his leg drop, a no-holds-barred assault on the idea of a budget. He admitted himself that he had blown through hundreds of millions of dollars during his peak, a figure that sounds crazy until you see the receipts. This was a man who took his larger-than-life persona and made it his reality. From his palace on the Florida coast, to a garage that looked like a car museum, every part of his life was designed to be bigger and better. This wasn't just wealth, it was a statement. It was Hulkamania made real, and the world had a front-row seat. Every king needs a castle, and Hogan's was a stunning 17,000-square-foot mega mansion in the exclusive community of Bel Air, Florida. This wasn't just a house, it was a monument to his success that became almost as famous as he was. He bought the oceanfront land in 1992 for $2 million and finished building his dream home in 1996. The result was a sprawling white palace that served as the main set for the reality show Hogan Knows Best from 2005 to 2007 for millions of viewers. This mansion was a weekly peek into a world of pure opulence. The home itself was a character. Walking through the doors, you'd find vast living spaces with soaring ceilings and panoramic water views. The real magic, though, was in the amenities. Hogan had a private museum on the property to house his championship belts and iconic ring gear. Outside, it was a playground, with a resort-style pool complete with a massive two-tier waterfall. A private pier stretched out into the water, where Hogan docked his boats and jet skis, always ready for an adventure. This was the physical embodiment of the Hulkster lifestyle, loud, proud, and unapologetically over the top. When it came time to sell, Hogan initially listed it for a staggering $25 million. It eventually sold in 2012 for a much lower, yet still astronomical, $6.2 million. Its place in pop culture history already cemented. If the mansion was Hogan's castle, his garage was the Royal Armory. His passion for cars was legendary, resulting in a collection that blended raw American muscle with European luxury. This wasn't about getting from point A to point B. It was about owning automotive art that represented power and style. The heart of his collection was American iron. Hogan was known to have a deep love for classic muscle cars, reportedly owning powerful Mopars like a 1968 Dodge Charger RT and a 1969 Plymouth Roadrunner. He also had a soft spot for Chevys, including a classic '66 Caprice, but his taste wasn't limited to homegrown horsepower. He famously owned a vibrant yellow 1994 Dodge Viper RT10, which he customized in his signature red and yellow Hulkster colors. Then there was the European contingent. For elegant cruising, he had a classic Rolls-Royce. For pure performance, his garage housed a Lamborghini Gallardo. the ultimate automotive status symbol with a price tag well over $200,000. But perhaps the most Hogan cars in his collection were the modern Dodge Challenger and Charger SRTs, which were often seen painted in his iconic red and yellow, turning them into rolling advertisements for the man himself. It was the perfect fusion of his on-screen persona and his off-screen passion. The extravagance didn't stop where the driveway ended. The Hulk Hogan lifestyle was a 360-degree experience. If he wasn't on land, he was on the water, tearing through the Gulf of Mexico in one of his powerful speedboats. His personal style was another outlet for lavish spending, as he was often seen wearing heavy gold chains and luxury watches from brands like Rolex. Travel was, of course, a first-class affair. As a global icon, he frequently chartered private jets to get between appearances and events. And maintaining this empire required a small army of staff, from groundskeepers to housekeepers, all part of the cost of being Hulk Hogan. For years, it seemed like the party would never end, and the money would never stop flowing. But behind the dazzling facade, a perfect storm was brewing, one that would deliver a financial body slam, more devastating than anything he'd ever faced in the ring. To the world, Hulk Hogan was living a charmed life. The narrative on Hogan Knows Best was that of a sometimes clumsy but always loving father living in a palace of dreams. But reality TV is a curated version of the truth. Behind the scenes, the foundations of Hogan's empire were cracking. The struggles were far more serious than the comedic problems shown on TV. They involved bitter marital strife and financial chaos that would bring the king of Hulkamania to his knees. The first and most devastating blow came in 2007 when his wife of over 23 years, Linda Hogan, filed for divorce. The news shocked fans, but the fallout was even more stunning. The divorce proceedings laid bare the state of the Hogan family's finances, and the settlement proved to be catastrophic for the Hulkster. The legal battle was long and messy. When the dust finally settled in 2009, the terms were staggering. Hogan had to pay his ex-wife a reported 70% of the couple's liquid assets. On top of that, he gave her a property settlement of $3 million in cash and 40% ownership in his various companies. The pain didn't stop there. Linda also received a reported $7.44 million from their bank and investment accounts and got to keep several luxury cars, including a Mercedes-Benz, a Corvette, and a Cadillac Escalade. In his own words, the divorce nearly bankrupted him. The man who had earned and spent hundreds of millions was now facing financial ruin. The Bel Air mansion became a financial burden, a constant reminder of a life that was slipping away. He spoke openly about the dark places his mind went during this time, a stark contrast to the invincible hero he portrayed. The financial body slam had left him down for the count. Down, but not out. Hogan's next fight took place in a courtroom. In 2012, the media outlet Gawker.com published a secretly recorded video of Hogan in a private, intimate moment. It was a profound invasion of his privacy and a deep humiliation. So Hogan fought back, filing a massive lawsuit against Gawker for $100 million for invasion of privacy. Many experts were skeptical, but for Hogan, it was about reclaiming his dignity. It was a David versus Goliath story, with Hogan playing the role of the underdog. The trial was a spectacle, but he persevered. His legal team argued that Gawker's actions weren't journalism, but a cynical move to drive web traffic. The jury agreed. In March 2016, the verdict came down. The jury awarded Hulk Hogan a stunning $140 million. It was a monumental victory. While the lawsuit ultimately led to Gawker filing for bankruptcy, a final settlement was reached where Hogan would receive $31 million in cash. After taxes and legal fees, the amount was smaller, but it was enough. It was the financial lifeline he desperately needed to rebuild the fortune he had lost. The Gawker settlement marked a turning point for Hulk Hogan. It gave him the stability to redefine his life, leaving the over-the-top extravagance of the Hogan Knows Best days behind for a more mature, yet still lavish, lifestyle. His real estate shifted from the Bel Air Palace to a more private setting in Clearwater, Florida. In 2012, he purchased a beautiful new home for $3.3 million. True to form, in 2016, he bought the neighboring property for an additional $1.6 million to create a larger, more private compound. It showed a desire for a quieter life, but one still defined by comfort and wealth. His business ventures also evolved. He continued to earn income from royalties and appearances, but he also opened Hogan's Hangout, a popular bar and restaurant in Clearwater Beach that serves as a living museum for his fans. However, these later years weren't without challenges. Decades in the ring took a severe toll on his body, leading to numerous surgeries on his back, hips, and knees. His personal life also saw periods of estrangement from his children, adding layers of private struggle to his public persona. Hulk Hogan passed away from cardiac arrest in July 2025 at the age of 71. At the time of his death, his net worth was estimated to be around $25 million. While a fraction of what he once had, it represented a remarkable recovery from the brink of bankruptcy. His later years were a testament to his resilience. He weathered divorce, public scandal, and financial ruin, and managed to rebuild a life of luxury and purpose. The scale had changed, but the spirit of the Hulkster, the ultimate survivor, remained. What do you think is the wildest part of Hulk Hogan's story? The massive mansion, the insane car collection, or his incredible financial comeback? Let us know in the comments below. And if you enjoyed this look into one of history's most iconic lifestyles, be sure to hit that like button and subscribe for more. Hulk Hogan's life was a story of extremes. It was a story of unparalleled luxury, of a man who lived in a 17,000 square foot palace, drove a fleet of supercars, and became a global symbol of success. It was the American dream turned up to full volume, but it was also a cautionary tale of how quickly a fortune can vanish. He experienced the highest of highs and the lowest of lows, facing public humiliation and near financial ruin. His journey from the peak of Hulkamania through the valley of divorce and scandal to his final years of quieted luxury in Clearwater is a complex one. Hulk Hogan's legacy isn't just in the championship belts or the roar of the crowd. It's in the incredible, turbulent, and truly unforgettable story of what his luxurious life was really like, a life of triumph, tragedy, and ultimate resilience.